Hello everyone and welcome! This is Dom in space. And this is the next episode in the series. I think it's episode 5 or 6 or one of those. I did say that last episode we were going to be building a space station. Well, it's been kind of tough to get enough science to get those parts, so I decided to do something actually more fun and probably a little bit harder to do than actually constructing a space station, and that's actually making a moon landing. And today I shot off another moon probe here. I made one little modification. I gave it a little bit more fuel in this tank here, basically double the amount it had before, just so whenever we get closer to the moon here, I can use it to slow my descent. And so there we are. We are actually on the moon, flying around the moon here. It's a separate probe. The first one's here. We're actually in the Mark III probe that I changed a little bit. So the Mark II is still floating around. It can still get us whatever kind of data we'd need for the future, if we ever need to do repetitive data gathering. But I thought today we would do something fun by landing on the moon and getting some science and transmitting it back that way. So what I'm going to do first is kind of get to a better position to make this landing, and I think this would be right around there. What I'm going to do is, since when you already have a really a nice orbit on the moon, which I have now, which I showed you how to do I think in the last episode, what you want to do is slow your ship down to the point where you're making an almost vertical descent. Well, at least this is how I do it. I don't know if anybody else does it this way. Reason why I like to do this, there's a couple reasons. One of the reasons is because there's no atmosphere, so going in at an angle won't do very much for you. And also, you're going to need to stop your horizontal movement before you land anyways, because you don't want to just kind of be floating around in a different direction. So there we go. As you can tell, no matter what, we are going to hit the moon, as long as we keep up this trajectory here. Ooh, and there we go. Okay, so I still have that huge rocket attached to me, and I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with it. I think I might just slow myself down to whatever I possibly can, get a little bit closer, because now I'm making an almost vertical descent. Almost, as you can tell, this is the direction against which way I'm going. So and the top of me would be pointing where I am going. So right now we are going very slow, but by the time we get to here, to the moon, we're going to be going fairly fast. So I am going to get a little bit lower, I think, or even move. I think I'm going to move this into the center even more. Get an almost perfectly vertical descent. There we go. And we are going to go ahead and try to get a little bit closer. And how high are we? Oh yeah, that's plenty. We're going a little bit too fast, so I'm going to move us to the center here and fire off this rocket. We're going to have to move this rocket out of the way soon so that we can land with the actual lander. This rocket just has a bunch of liquid left in it, so I'm going to use it to my advantage. We're only 38,000 meters above the surface here. Speed up just a little bit here, since we are going fairly slow. Get about to here, and I'll fire it again. You don't have to do it this way. You don't have to keep this rocket attached if you didn't want to. I just chose to, because it has a lot of power and a lot of fuel that I didn't feel like wasting. Boop. Cool. Let's move it over here. Try to get this X in the dead center again. Boop. As much as we can. This will make it so that we have a vertical descent. We're going to land, it looks like, in one of these craters, which is really cool. And I made sure that I did this while we still had sun, so that you guys could see this. Go ahead and speed it up just a little bit more. And that's good. Boop. Move it towards the center again. There we go. X is kind of on the center. We're going much slower now. Can't even zoom in anymore on the map. Under 10,000 kilometers. I think it's actually safe for me to jump off at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That'll go separate. It will probably crash and explode. And I have enough, should have enough fuel on here to slow our descent enough. Okay, there it goes. Speed up just a little bit. And that's good. Way too far. Oop. The fuel tank that we had before, the boosters we had before, just exploded on impact. Zoom in a little bit, just to get a better view for you guys. I'm worried about the thing at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to extend my landing gear here. And here we are, we're almost here. I'm going to try to get under 8 meters per second, and we want to turn off our SAS as soon as we land. And of course our rocket. And we have a shadow, so this always helps. Oh boy. Okay. You're going to get to this point, and this is very hard to do, where you are actually giving yourself lift, which you don't want to do. And I'm actually doing this wrong. Don't want to do this. Don't want to get yourself in a situation like this, trust me. Okay, almost vertical descent, and here we are. Touchdown. Turn off SAS, and here we are. We're on the moon. Yeah. Cool, and we are in the middle of a crater. I've actually never been in the middle of a crater before. This is very cool. So what we want to do is probably get some samples while we're here. 100. Woohoo! Leave the sample doors open, moon, and go do something else for a while. Sweet. Very, very awesome. We're going to keep all of this data and just send it back so we have enough to make our station next episode. It's awesome. Very excited. And now we have a permanent probe on the moon here. We actually have a lot of fuel. We could probably even return if we wanted to. But that could be a future episode, of course. Awesome. So we're going to transmit all this back, see how much we get. We're going to do it again. Get as much as we can from this one recording here. Boop. 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 Cool, and transmit. Basically, the mystery goos have been almost exhausted because they're all going to give you the same data back and forth. So we're 5.9 for that one, 4.6, 3.5, 2.8. So those aren't really giving us very much, but the main one will. So 17.1 is great. Let's do it one more time. And send that one back. And we have enough, we will be getting enough sunlight from our solar panels that I put on our ship here to be able to do this indefinitely, hopefully, as long as we stay in the sun. And then if we don't, we'll just wait till the moon turns so that it's in the sun again. And yeah, that's how that's going to go. So we're going to go back to the Space Center. So now we have 2 probes on the moon getting us consistent science data, or continuous. Yeah. And we are going to unlock my favorite expansion to this game, and that is the docking ports, and that's what we're gonna do right now. So, ooh, what do we get here? Advanced Metalworks gives you girders, clampetrons, different ones, radial attachments. 4-to-1, I think. Cool. More separators, which are awesome. So that's awesome. Okay. So this is my favorite expansion, though. It has the Hitchhiker storage container, which will allow 4 Kerbonauts. Yeah, Kerbonauts. Yeah, there's to be stored in one thing at once. So you actually can bring a bunch of people up or store a bunch of people away while in orbit or in the space station. You have the docking ports, which I'm going to show you guys in here. Docking ports are a amazing part of this game. We're going to make a new one. That was what I used before. So we'll make a new one here. First, we're going to see how big our storage container is. Huge. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. But this is a docking port, and this is a docking port. And what you can do is actually put 2 ships together. So we'll find them in orbit, and we'll basically target the other ship flying around in orbit. Let me do that for you real fast to show you what I'm talking about here. So here we are. We're on Kerbin, for example. If I make a Kerbal Space Station, I will have it orbiting the Kerbal here, kind of like this one over here is doing. He'll be floating around, and it'll be powered by solar power and all that stuff. Let's go back to the moon. Kerbin. What I'm going to do is have that one, and I'm going to try to keep it at a really good orbit, one that's basically perfectly circular and everything like that. The reason why you want to do that is so that you can hit it with another ship, and obviously you don't want to crash into it, but you want to basically dock with it, and you are capable of doing that and creating one ship with these docking ports. So this is the shielded version, and basically what that does is it opens and closes, and this one does not. It's always open. So the really cool thing is that now we can build structures in space, so you don't need to send the entire ship up at once. You can send it up in pieces, and we are actually going to do that for future missions. We're going to send up to the space station a bunch of fuel in packages, build the packages together into either a landing vehicle or a launch vehicle, to be going to planets that are further away, or planets where we need more fuel to help with our descent or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of the plan for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the moon landing. I've never done this with a probe before, so I was a little bit nervous. This is actually the first take. I didn't actually have to take another take for it. So thank you guys for watching, and next time we'll see you again from the moon.